Hey everyone, today we're reading First Chronicles chapter 1 to 9. Okay, I was reconnecting. Rama and Saptika, the sons of Rama, Sheba and Dedan. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on earth. Egypt was the father of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Naphtuhites, Pathrusites, Casluhites, from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorites. Canaan was the father of Sidon, his firstborn, and of the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Archites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zimrites, and Hamathites. The sons of Shem, Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshech. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah the father of Eber. The two sons were born to Eber, one who was named Peleg, because in his time the earth was divided. His brother was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almadad, Shaleth, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were sons of Joktan. Shem, Arphaxad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Ru, Serig, Nahor, Terah, and Abram, that is Abraham. The sons of Abraham, Isaac and Ishmael. These were their descendants: Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, Kedar, Adabel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tamar, Jetor, Naphish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael. The sons born to Keturah, Abraham's concubine: Zimram, Jokshan, Madan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. The sons of Jokshan, Sheba, and Dedan. The sons of Midian: Ephah, Epher, Hanak, Abida, and Eldah. All these were descendants of Keturah. Abraham was the father of Isaac. The sons of Isaac, Esau, and Israel. The sons of Esau, Eliphaz, Reuel, Jehush, Tralam, and Korah. The sons of Eliphaz, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. By Timnah, Amalek. The sons of Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. The sons of Seir, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishan, Ezer, and Dishan. The sons of Lotan, Horah, and Homam. Timnah and was Lotan's sister. The sons of Shobal, Alvin. Alvin's such a crazy name to be in the middle of this one. Manahath, Ebal, Shapho, and Onan. The sons of Zibeon, Aiah, and Anah. The sons of Anah, Dishon. The sons of Dishon, Himdan, Ishban, Ithran, and Karen. The sons of Ezer, Bilhan, Zavan, and Akan. The sons of Dishan, Uz, and Aram. These were the kings who reigned in Edom before any Israelite king reigned. Bela, son of Beer, whose city was named Dinhabah. When Bela died, Jobab, son of Zerah from Basra, succeeded him as king. When Jobab died, Husham from the land of the Temanites succeeded him as king. When Husham died, Hadad, son of Badad, who defeated Midian in the country of Moab, succeeded him as king. His city was named Avith. When Hadad died, Samlah from Maskara succeeded him as king. When Samlah died, Shaul from Rehoboth on the river succeeded him as king. When Shaul died, Baal-Hanan, son of Akbor, succeeded him as king. When Baal-Hanan died, Hadad succeeded him as king. His city was named Paul, and his wife's name was Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. Hadad also died. The chiefs of Edom were Timnah, Alva, Japheth, Aholibamah, Elah, Tainan, Kenaz, Taman, Mibzah, Magdio, and Iram. These were the chiefs of Edom. These were the sons of Israel: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Joseph, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The sons of Judah, Onan, and Shelah. These three were born to him by a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua. Judah's firstborn was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Judah's daughter-in-law Tamar bore Perez and Zerah to Judah. He had 5 sons in all. The sons of Perez, Hezron, and Hamul. The sons of Zerah, Zimri, Ethan, Haman, Calcol, and daughter, 5 in all. The son of Comri, Akar, who brought trouble on Israel by violating the ban on taking devoted things. The son of Ethan, Azariah. The sons born to Hezron were Jeremiel, Ram, and Caleb. Ram was the father of Aminadab, and Aminadab the father of Nahshon, the leader of the people of Judah. Nahshon was the father of Salmon, Salmon the father of Boaz, Boaz the father of Obed, and Obed the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of Eliab, his firstborn. The second The son was Abinadab, the third Shamir, the fourth Nethanel, the fifth Radai, the sixth Ozem, and the seventh David. Their sisters were Zariah and Abigail. Zariah's three sons were Abishai, Joab, and Asahel. Abigail was the mother of Amasa, whose father was Jether the Ishmaelite. Caleb, son of Hezron, had children by his wife Azubah and by Jerioth. These were his sons, Jeshur, Shobab, and Arden. When Azubah died, Caleb married Ephrath, who bore him Hur. Hur was the father of Uri, and Uri the father of Bezalel. Later, Hezron, when he became 60 years old, married the daughter of Machir, the father of Gilead. He made love to her, and she bore him Segub. Segub was the father of Jair, who controlled 23 towns in Gilead. But Geshir and Aram captured Havath, Jair, as well as Canath with the surrounding settlements, 60 towns. All these were descendants of Machir, the father of Gilead. After Hezron died in Caleb Ephrathah, Abijah, the wife of Hezron, bore him Ashur, the father of Tekoa. The sons of Jerahmeel, the firstborn of Hezron, Ram his firstborn, Bunah, Oran, Ozim, and Ahijah. Jerahmeel had another wife whose name was Atara. She was the mother of Onan. The sons of Ram, the firstborn of Jerahmeel, Maz, Jamin, and Eker. The sons of Onan, Shammai, and Jada. The sons of Shammai, Nadab, and Abishur. Abishur's wife was named Abihail, who bore him Aban and Molid. The sons of Nadab, Seled, and Aphiam. Seled died without children. The son of Aphiam, Ishi, who was the father of Sheshan. Sheshan was the father of Alai, the son of Jada, Shammai's brother, Jether, and Jonathan. Jether died without children. The sons of Jonathan, Peleth, and Zaza. These were the descendants of Jerahmeel. Sheshan had no sons, only daughters. He had an Egyptian servant named Jarha. Sheshan gave his daughter in marriage to his servant Jarha, and she bore him Athai. Athai was the father of Nathan, Nathan the father of Zabad, Zabad the father of Ephlal, Ephlal the father of Obed, Obed the father of Jehu, Jehu the father of Azariah, Azariah the father of Helaz, Helaz the father of Elisa, Elisa the father of Sismai, Sismai the father of Shallum, Shallum the father of Jechemiah, and Jechemiah the father of Elishama. The sons of Caleb the brother of Jerahmeel, Mishai his firstborn, who was the father of Ziph, and his son Mersha, who was the father of Hebron. The sons of Hebron, Kor, Tupara, Rechem, and Shema. Shema was the father of Raham, and Raham the father of Jorkiam. Rachem was the father of Shammai. The son of Shammai was Maon, and Maon was the father of Beth-Zur. Caleb's concubine Ephah was the mother of Haran, Moza, and Gazez. Haran was the father of Gazez. The sons of Jadai, Regem, Jotham, Geshin, Pelet, Ephah, and Shaph. Caleb's concubine Maacah was the mother of Shebia and Tohana. She also gave birth to Shaph, the father of Madmenah, and to Sheba, the father of Macbena. In Gibeah, Caleb's daughter was Aksa. These were the descendants of Caleb. The sons of Hur, the firstborn of Ephrathah, Shalbal, the father of Kiriath-Jearim, Salma, the father of Bethlehem, and Harith, the father of Beth-Gadir. The descendants of Shobal, the father of Kiriath-Jearim, were Heror, half the Manahathites, and the clans of Kiriath-Jearim, the Ethites, Cushites, Shumathites, and Mishrites. From these descendants the Zoathites and Ishtaelites. The descendants of Salma, Bethlehem, the Netophathites, Atroth, Beth-Joab, half the Manahathites, the Zorites, and the clans of scribes who lived at Jabez, the Chuthites, Shimeathites, and Succothites. These are the Canaanites who came from Hamath, the father of the Rechabites. Oh my goodness. I probably butchered oh my goodness. I probably butchered all of those, dude, and we're only on chapter 3 now. These were the sons of David born to him in Hebron. The firstborn was Amnon, the son of Ahinoam of Jezreel. The second, Daniel, the son of Abigail of Carmel. The third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, daughter of Talmai, king of Geshir. The fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith. The fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. And the sixth, Ephraim, by his wife Eglah. These six were born to David in Hebron, where he reigned 7 years and 6 months. David reigned in Jerusalem 33 years, and these were the children born to him there: Shemuah, Shobab, Nathan, and Solomon. These four were born by Bathsheba, daughter of Amiel. These were also Ibhar, Elishua, Eliphalet, Noga, Nepheg, Japhia, Elishama, Elida, and Eliphalet, 9 in all. All these were the sons of David, besides his sons by his concubines, and Tamar was their sister. Solomon's son was Rehoboam, Abijah his son, Asa his son, Jehoshaphat his son, Jehoram his son, Ahaziah his son, Joash his son, Amaziah his son, Azariah his son, Jotham his son, Ahaz his son, Hezekiah his son, Manasseh his son, Ammon his son, Josiah his son, the sons of Josiah, Johanan the firstborn, Jehoiakim the second son, Zedekiah the third, Shallum the fourth, the successors of Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin his son, and Zedekiah. The descendants of Jehoiachin the captive, Shetiel his son, Malchuriam, Pedaiah, Shemaiah, Jechemiah, Hoshama, and Nadabiah, the sons of Pedaiah, Zerubbabel and Shimei, the sons of Zerubbabel, Meshullam and Hananiah. Shelomith was their sister. There were also 5 others, Hashubah, Ohil, Berechiah, Hasadiah, and Jeshub, his seed. The descendants of Hananiah, Pelatiah, and Jeshiah, then the sons of Rephiah, of Arnan, of Obadiah, and of Shechaniah, the descendants of Shechaniah, Shemaiah and his sons, Hattush, Egal, Beriah, Neriah, and Shaphat, 6 in all. The sons of Neriah, Elioenai, Hizkiah, and Azrikam, 3 in all. The sons of Elioenai, Hadviah, Elishib, Peliah, Akub, Johanan, Deliah, and Ananiah, 7 in all. The descendants of Judah, Perez, Hezron, Kami, Hur, and Shobal. Rai, son of Shobal, was the father of Jahath, and Jahath the father of Ahumai, and Lahath. These were the clans of the Zorathites. These were the sons of Atham, Jezreel, Ishma, and Idbash. Their sister was named Hazelelponi. Peniel was the father of Gedea, and Ezer the father of Hushah. These were the descendants of Hur, the firstborn of Ephrathah, and father of Bethlehem. Asher, the father of Tekoa, had 2 wives, Helai and Narah. Narah bore him Ahazum, Hephah, Timnai, and Hasharathiah. Oh my goodness. These were the descendants of Narah. The sons of Helai, Zereth, Zohar, Ethan, and Kaz, who was the father of Anub, and Hazobebah. And the sons of Ahahil, son of Harum. Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. His mother had named him Jabez, saying, I gave birth to him in pain. Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory, that your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain. And God granted his request. Caleb, Shuha's brother, was the father of Mahir, who was the father of Ishtan. Ishtan was the father of Beth Rapha, Baasir, and Tehanah, the father of Nahash. These were the men of Rekah, the son of Kenaz, Othniel, and Sariah, the son of Othniel, Hadath, and Meonothai. Meonothai was the father of Ophrah. Sariah was the father of Joab, and the father of Gay Harashim. It was called this because its people were skilled workers. The sons of Caleb, son of Jephunneh, Eru, Eli, and Nam. The sons of Eli, Kenaz, the son of Jehalil, Ziphath, Teriah, and Asarel. The sons of Ezra, Jether, Mered, Ephah, and Jalon. One of Mered's wife gave birth to Miriam. Shemai and Ishbah, the father of Eftimoah, his wife from the tribe of Judah, gave birth to Jared, the father of Gedor, Heber, the father of Sokah, and Jekuthiel, the father of Zenoah. These were the children of Pharaoh's daughter, Bethiah, whom Mered had married. The sons of Hodiah's wife, the sister of Nahum, the father of Eliah, the Garmite, the Ishtamara, the Makarathite. The sons of Shimon, Amnon, Rina, Ben-Hanan, and Tylon. The descendants of Ishi, Zoheth and Ben-Zoheth, the sons of Shelah, son of Judah, the father of Lekah, Ladah, the father of Meashah, and the clans of the linen workers at Beth Ashbea, Joachim, the men of Kozabah, and Joash and Seraph, who ruled in Moab, and Jashubi, Lathim. These records are from ancient times. They were the potters who lived at Nathaim and Gedera. They stayed there and worked for the king. Goodness. We are butchering everything, aren't we? The sons of Simeon. I always think, is it Simon or Simeon? I always call him Simeon for some reason, because I think I've always called him Simeon for some reason, but I bet you it's Simon. I'm just so used to pronounce it Simeon, I feel odd pronouncing it Simon. We're wasting time yapping about a name that probably real simple. I'm just going to say Simon. The descendants of Simon, Nemuel, Jamin, Jareb, Zerah, and Shaul. Shallum was Shaul's son, Mibsam his son, and Mishma his son. The descendants of Mishma, Hamuel his son, Zakah his son, and Shimei his son. Shimei had 16 sons and 6 daughters, but his brothers did not have many children, so their entire clan did not become as numerous as the people of Judah. They lived in Beersheba, Moladah, Hazir Shaul, Bilhah, Ezam, Tolad, Bethil, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Makabath, Hazor, Susim, Beth Beri, and Sharim. These were their towns until the reign of David. Their surrounding villages were Etham, Ain, Rimmon, Token, and Ashan, 5 towns, and all the villages around these towns as far as Balath. These were their settlements, and they kept a genealogical record. Meshobab, Jamlech, Joshua, son of Amaziah, Joel, Jehu, son of Joshibiah, the son of Sariah, the son of Asiel, also Elonai, Jacobab, Jeshoiah, Asaiah, Adiel, Jasimiel, Benaiah, and Zazah, son of Shaphi, the son of Alon, the son of Jediah, the son of Shimri, the son of Shemaiah. The men listed above by name were listed of their clans. Their families increased greatly, and they went to the outskirts of Gedor, to the east of the valley, in search of pasture for their flocks. They found rich, good pasture, and the land was spacious, peaceful, and quiet. Some Hamites had lived there formerly. The men whose names were listed came in the days of Hezekiah, king of Judah. They attacked the Hamites in their dwellings, and also the Meunites who were there, and completely destroyed them, as is evident to this day. Then they settled in their place, because there were pasture for their flocks. And 500 of these Simeonites, led by Pelatiah, Neriah, Baphi, and Uziel, the sons of Ishi, invaded the hill country of Seir. They killed the remaining Amalekites who had escaped, and they had lived there to this day. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel. He was the firstborn, but when he defiled his father's marriage bed, his rights as firstborn were given to the sons of Joseph, the son of Israel, so he could not be listed in the genealogical record in accordance with his birthright. And though Judah was the strongest of his brothers, and Olah came from him, the rights of the firstborn belonged to Joseph, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel: Hanak, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi, the descendants of Joel, Shemaiah his son, Gog his son, Shemaiah his son, Micah his son, Reah his son, Baal his son, and Bera his son, whom Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, took into exile. Bera was a leader of the Reubenites. Their relatives by clans listed according to their genealogical records: Jeel the chief, Zechariah, and Bela, son of Azaz, the son of Shema, the son of Joel. They settled in the area from Ariah to Nebo and Baal-Meon. To the east, they occupied the land up to the edge of the desert that extends to the Euphrates River, because their livestock had increased in Gilead. During Saul's reign, they waged war against the Hagrites, who were defeated at their hands. They occupied the dwellings of the Hagrites throughout the entire region east of Gilead. The majority of this is going to be reading, by the way. The Gadites lived next to them in Bashan as far as Selkah. Joel was the chief, Shaphan the second, then Janai and Shaphat in Bashan. Their relatives by family were Michael, Meshulam, Sheba, Jeriah, Jachan, Zia, and Eva, 7 in all. These were the sons of Abahel, son of Huri, the son of Jeriah, the son of Gilead, the son of Michael, the son of Jeshai, the son of Jehodo, the son of Buz. Ahai, son of Abdiel, the son of Gunai, was head of the family. The Gadites lived in Gilead and Bashan and its outlying villages, and on all the pasture lands of Sharon as far as they extended. All these were entered in the genealogical records during the reigns of Jotham, king of Judah, and Jeroboam, king of Israel. The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh had 44,760 men ready for military service, able-bodied men who could handle shield and sword, who would use a bow, and who were trained for battle. They waged war against the Hagrites, Jetir, Naphish, and Nodab. They were helped in fighting them, and God delivered the Hagrites and all their allies into their hands because they cried out to him during the battle. He answered their prayers because they trusted in him. They seized the livestock of the Hagrites, 50,000 camels, 250,000 sheep, and 2,000 donkeys. They all took 100,000 people captive, and many others fell slain because the battle was God's, and they occupied the land until the exile. The people of the half-tribe of Manasseh were numerous. They settled in the land from Bashan, the Baal-Hermon, that is, to Sinir, Mount Hermon. These were the heads of their family: Ephah, Ishi, Eliel, Azrael, Jeremiah, Hodaviah, and Jadiel. They were brave warriors, famous men, and heads of the families, but they were unfaithful to the God of their ancestors and prostituted themselves to the God of the people of the land whom God had destroyed before them. So the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, that is, Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, who took the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh into exile. He took them to Halah, Habor, Harah, and the river of Gazim, where they are to this day. Oh. Now on to Levi. Oh my goodness, dude. Levi. That's a lot, Levi. The sons of Levi: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The son of Kohath: Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzel. The children of Amram: Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. The sons of Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Eleazar was the father of Phinehas, Phinehas the father of Abishua, Abishua the father of Bukki, Bukki the father of Uzzi, Uzzi the father of Zerahiah, Zerahiah the father of Miriath, Miriath the father of Amariah, Amariah the father of Ahitub, Ahitub the father of Zadok, Zadok the father of Ahimaaz, Ahimaaz father of Azariah, Azariah the father of Johanan, Johanan the father of Azariah. It was he who served as priest in the temple Solomon built in Jerusalem. Azariah the father of Amariah, Amariah the father of Ahitub, Ahitub was the father of Zadok, Zadok the father of Shallum, Shallum the father of Hilkiah, Hilkiah the father of Azariah, Azariah the father of Sariah, and Sariah the father of Jozadak. Jozadak was deported when the Lord sent Judah and Jerusalem into exile by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. A lot of these names end in ayah, don't they? The sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. These are the names of the sons of Gershon, Libni and Shimei. The sons of Kohath, Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. The sons of Merari, Mahil, and Mushi. These are the clans of the Levites listed according to their fathers of Gershon. Libni his son, Jahath his son, Zimah his son, Joai his son, Edo his son, Zerah his son, and Jetheriah his son. The descendants of Kohath, Aminadab his son, Korah his son, Asir his son, Elkanah his son, Ebiasaph his son, Asir his son, Tohath his son, Uriel his son, Uzziah his son, and Shaul his son, the descendants of Elkanah, Amasai, Ahamath, Elkanah his son, Zophiah his son, Nahath his son, Eliab his son, Jeroham his son, Elkanah his son, and Samuel his son, the sons of Samuel, Joel the firstborn, and Abijah the second son, the descendants of Merari, Mahil, Libni his son, Shammai his son, Uzzah his son, Shemiah his son, Haggiah his son, and Asaiah his son. These are the men David put in charge of the music in the house of the Lord after the ark came to rest there. They ministered with music before the tabernacle and the tent of meeting until Solomon built the temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. They performed their duties according to the regulations laid down for them. The other men who served together with their sons. From the Kohathites, Haman the musician, the son of Joel, the son of Samuel, the son of Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the sons of Eliel, the son of Toah, the son of Zuph, the son of Elkanah, the son of Mahath, the son of Amasai, the son of Elkanah, the son of Joel, the son of Azariah, the son of Zephaniah, the son of Tahath, the son of Asir, the son of Ebasaph, the son of Korah, the son of Azhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, the son of Israel, and Haman's associate Asaph, who served at his right hand, Asaph, son of Berechiah, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Michael, the son of Basiah, the son of Malchijah, the son of Ithni, the son of Zerah, the son of Adiah, the son of Ethan, the son of Zimmah, the son of Shammai, the son of Jahath, the son of Gershon, the son of Levi, and from their associates, the Merarites, at his left hand, Ethan, the son of Kishi, the son of Abdi, the son of Maluk, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Amaziah, the son of Hilkiah, the son of Amzi, the son of Bani, the son of Shemir, the son of Malhel, the son of Mushi, the son of Moriah, the son of Levi. Their fellow Levites were assigned to all the other duties of the tabernacle, the house of God, but Aaron and his descendants were the ones who presented offerings on the altar of burnt offering and on the altar of incense in connection with all that was done in the most holy place, making atonement for Israel in accordance with all that Moses the servant of God had commanded. These were the descendants of Aaron: Eleazar his son, Phinehas his son, Abishua his son, Bukki his son, Uzzi his son, Zerahiah his son, Miriath his son, Amariah his son, Ahitub his son, Zadok his son, and Ahimaaz his son. These were the locations of their settlements allotted as their territory. They were assigned to the descendants of Aaron, who were from the Kohathite clan, because the first lot was for them. They were given Hebron and Judah with its surrounding pasturelands, but the fields and villages around the city were given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh. So the descendants of Aaron were given Hebron, a city of refuge, in Libnah, Jatir, Eshtemoa, Highland, Debir, Ashan, Juttah, and Beth Shemesh, together with their pasturelands, and from the tribe of Benjamin they were given Gibeon, Geba, Almeth, and Anathoth, together with their pasturelands. The total number of towns distributed among the Kohathite clans came to 13. The rest of Kohath's descendants were allotted 10 towns from the clans of half the tribe of Manasseh. The descendants of Gershon, clan by clan, were allotted 13 towns from the tribes of Issachar, Asher, and Naphtali, and from the part of the tribe of Manasseh that is in Bashan. The descendants of Moriah, clan by clan, were allotted 12 towns from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the Israelites gave the Levites these towns and their pasturelands. From the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin, they allotted the previously named towns. Some of the Kohathite clans were given as their territory territory, towns from the tribe of Ephraim. And the hill country of Ephraim, they were given Shechem, a city of refuge, and Gezer, Jokneam, Beth-Horon, Aijalon, and Gath-Rimmon, together with their pasture lands. And from half of the tribe of Manasseh, the Israelites gave Anir and Baliam, together with their pasture lands, to the rest of the Kohathite clans. The Gershonites received the following: from the clan of the half-tribe of Manasseh, they received Golan and Bashan, and also Ashtaroth, together with their pasture lands. From the tribe of Issachar, they received Kadesh, Dabarath, Ramoth, and Anem, together with their pasture lands. From the tribes of Asher, they received Mashal, Abdon, Hukok, and Rehob, together with their pasture lands. And from the tribe of Naphtali, they received Mashal, Abdon, Hukok, and Rehob, together with their pasture lands. Oh wait, we already read that. Hold on, I skipped a line up. From the tribe of Asher, they received, verse 76. From the tribe of Naphtali, they received Kadesh in Galilee, Haman, and Kiriathaim, together with their pasture lands. The Murites, the rest of the Levites, received the following: from the tribe of Zebulun, they received Jokneam, Kartar, Rimino, and Tabor, together with their pasture lands. From the tribe of Reuben, across the Jordan, east of Jericho, they received Bezir in the wilderness, Jazar, Kedemoth, and Mephath, together with their pasture lands. And from the tribe of Gad, they received Ramoth, Gilead, Mahanaim, Heshbon, and Jaziah, together with their pasture lands. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Pua, Jashub, and Shimron, 4 in all. The sons of Tola, Uzi, Raphiah, Jeriel, Jarmai, Ibsam, and Samuel, heads of the families. During the reign of David, the descendants of Tola, listed as fighting men in their genealogy, numbered 22,600. The son of Uzi's a crazy name, it's goofy. Izrahiah, the sons of Izrahiah, Michael, Obadiah, Joel, and Ishiah. All 5 of them were chiefs according to their family genealogy. They had 36,000 men ready for battle, for they had many wives and children. The relatives who were fighting men belonging to all the clans of Issachar, as listed in their genealogy, were 87,000 in all. 3 sons of Benjamin, Bela, Bechiah, and Jediel. The sons of Bela, Ezban, Uzi, Uziel, Jeremoth, and Eri, heads of families, 5 in all. Their genealogical record listed 22,034 fighting men. The sons of Bechiah, Zemirah, Joash, Eleazar, Elionai, Omri, Jeremoth, Abijah, Anathoth, and Elmith. All these were the sons of Bechiah. Their genealogical record listed the heads of families and 20,200 fighting men. The sons of Jediel, Bilhan, the sons of Bilhan, Jeush, Benjamin, Ehud, Kenanah, Zathan, Tarshish, and Ahishahab. All these sons of Jediel were heads of families. There were 17,200 fighting men ready to go out to war. The Shuphites and Hupites were the descendants of and the Hushites the descendants of Ahir. The sons of Naphtali, Jaziel, Guni, Jazir, and Trileum, the descendants of Bilhah. The descendants of Manasseh, Azriel was his descendant through his Aramean concubine. She gave birth to Machir, the father of Gilead. Machir took a wife from among the Huppites and Shuphites. His sister's name was Makkah. Another descendant was named Zelophohad, who had only daughters. Machir's wife Makkah gave birth to a son and named him Pirish. His brother was named Sherish, and his sons were Ulam and Rakim. The son of Ulam, Badan. These were the sons of Gilead, son of Machir, the son of Manasseh. His sister Hemoleketh gave birth to Ishhad, Abiezer, and Maulah. The sons of Shemida were Ahiram, Shechem, Zikhi, and Amiam. The descendants of Ephraim, Shuthelah buried his son, Tahath his son, Eliadah his son, Tahath his son, Zabad his son, and Shuthelah his son. Ezer and Eliad were killed by the native-born men of Gath when they went down to seize their livestock. The father Ephraim mourned for them many days, and his relatives came to comfort him. Then he made love to his wife again, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. He named him Beriah, because there had been misfortune in his family. His daughter was Shira, who built Lower and Upper Beth-Horon, as well as Uzen, Shira. Rephah was his son. Reshith his son. Telah his son. Tehan his son. Ladan his son. Amihud his son. Elishama his son. Nun his son. And Joshua his son. Their lands and settlements included Bethel and its surrounding villages, Naran to the east, Gazia and its villages to the west, and Shechem and its villages all the way to Ayah and its villages. Along the borders of Manasseh were Beth Shan, Tanak, Megiddo, and Dor, together with their villages. The descendants of Joseph, son of Israel, lived in these towns. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishvi, and Beriah. Their sister was Sarah. The sons of Beriah, Heber, and Malchiel, who was the father of Berziath. Heber was the father of Japhlet, Shomer, and Hotham, and of their sister Shua. The sons of Japhlet, Pesach, Bimhal, and Ashvath. These were Japhlet's sons. The sons of Shomer, Ahai, Rogah, Hubah, and Aram. The sons of his brother Elam, Zophar, Imnah, Shalesh, and Amal. The sons of Zophar, Suah, Honifer, Shual, Beri, Imrah, Bezer, Had, Shammah, Shilshah, Ithran, and Bera. The sons of Japheth, Jephunneh, Pisphah, and Erah. The sons of Ulah, Erah, Haniel, and Vizier. All these were descendants of Asher, heads of families, choice men, brave warriors, and outstanding leaders. The number of men ready for battle as listed in their genealogy was 26,000. Benjamin was the father of Bela, his firstborn, Ashbel, the second son, Ahira, third, Noah, the fourth, and Rapha, the fifth. The sons of Bela was Adar, Gera, Abihud, Avishah, verse 4, Abishua, Naaman, Ahua, Gera, Shephufan, and Huram. These were the descendants of Ehud, who were heads of families of those living in Gera, and were deported to Manahath. Naaman, Ahijah, and Gera, who deported them, and who was the father of Uzzah and Ahihud. Sons were born to Shaharaim in Moab after he had divorced his wives, Hushim and Bara. By his wife Hodish he had Jobab, Zibiah, Misha, Malcham, Jeuz, Sakiah, and Miramam. These were his sons, heads of families. By Hushim he had Abitub and Ilpal. The sons of Ilpal, Eber, Neshem, Shemed, who built Ono and Lod with its surrounding villages, and Beriah and Shema, who were the heads of families of those living in Aijalon, and who drove out the inhabitants of Gath. Ahio, Shoshak, Jeremoth, Zebediah, Arad, Eder, Michael, Ishphah, and Johah were the sons of Beriah. Zebediah, Meshullam, Hezkiah, Heber, Ishmerai, Isliah, and Jobab were the sons of Elpal. Joachim, Zikri, Zabdi, Elionai, Zelathai, Eliel, Adiah, Beriah, and Shimrath were the sons of Shemaiah. Ishpan, Eber, Eliel, Abdon, Zikri, Hanan, Hananiah, Elam. Oh my goodness, how the heck do you even go around saying this? Anathotijah, Ifdiah, and Peniel were the sons of Shashak. Shamsharai, Shehariah, Athaliah, Jeshiah, Elijah, and Zikri were the sons of Jeroham, and these were heads of families, chiefs as listed in their genealogy, and they lived in Jerusalem. Jeo, the father of Gibeon, lived in Gibeon. His wife's name was Makkah, and his firstborn son was Abdon, followed by Zer, Kish, Baal, Nadab, Gadir, Ahio, Zekiah, and Mikloth, who was the father of Shemaiah. They too lived near their relatives in Jerusalem. Ner was the father of Kish, the father of Saul, and Saul the father of Jonathan, Malchishua, Abinadab, and Ishbal. The son of Jonathan, Mirabal, who was the father of Micah. The sons of Micah, Pithan, Melech, Tariah, and Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Jehoiada, and Jehoiada was the father of Elmeth, Asmaveth, and Zimri was the father of Moza. Moza was the father of Beniah. Raphath was his son, Eliasah his son, and Azil his son. Azel had 6 sons, and these were their names: Adrikam, Bakuru, Ishmael, Shiriah, Obadiah, and Hanan. All these were the sons of Azel. The sons of his brother Ishak, Ulam his firstborn, Jeush, the second son of Eliphalet the third. The sons of Ulam were brave warriors who could handle the bow. They had many sons and grandsons, 150 in all. All these were the descendants of Benjamin. All Israel was listed in the genealogies record in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. They were taken captive to Babylon because of their unfaithfulness. One more chapter, and we'll be free forever from the butchering of these names. Now the first to resettle on their own property in their own towns were some Israelite priests, Levites, and temple servants. Those from Judah, from Benjamin, and from Ephraim and Manasseh who lived in Jerusalem were Uthai, son of Amihud, the son of Omri, the son of Imri, the son of Bani, a descendant of Perez, son of Judah, of the Shalonites, Asai, the firstborn, and his sons, of the Zerahites, Jeuel, the people from Judah numbered 690. Of the Benjamites, Shalu, son of Meshullam, the son of Hodaviah, the son of Hasanua, Ibniah, the son of Jeroham, Jeroham, Elah, son of Uzi, the son of Mikri, and Meshullam, son of Shephatiah, the son of Reuel, the son of Ebonijah. The people from Benjamin, as listed in their genealogy, numbered 956. All these men were heads of their families. Of the priest, Jediah, Jehurib, Jachin, Azariah, son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Zadok, the son of Marioth, the son of Ahitub, the official in charge of the house of God, Adiah, son of Jeroham, the son of Pashur, the son of Malchijah, and Masai, son of Adil, the son of Jarzerah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Meshulameth, the son of Immer. The priests who were heads of families numbered 1,760. They were able men responsible for ministering in the house of God. Of the Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hasub, the son of Azrikam, the son of Hashabiah, a Merite, Bakbakar, Irish, Galal, and Mathaniah, son of Micah, the son of Zikri, the son of Asaph, Obadiah, son of Shemaiah, the son of Galal, the son of Jeduthun, and Bechariah, the son of Asa, the son of Elkanah, who lived in the villages of the Netophathites. The gatekeepers, Shallum, Akub, Talman, Ahiman, and their fellow Levites, Shallum, their chief, being stationed at the king's gate on the east up to the present time. These were the gatekeepers belonging to the camp of the Levites. Shallum, son of Kor, the son of Abiasaph, the son of Kor, and his fellow gatekeepers from his family, the Korhites, were responsible for guarding the thresholds of the tent, just as their ancestors had been responsible for guarding the entrance to the dwelling of the Lord. In earlier times, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, was the official in charge of the gatekeepers, and the Lord was with him. Zechariah, son of Meshulamiah, was the gatekeeper at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Altogether, those chosen to be gatekeepers at the thresholds numbered 212. They were registered by genealogy in their villages. The gatekeepers had been assigned to their positions of trust by David and Samuel the seer. They and their descendants were in charge of guarding the gates of the house of the Lord, the house called the tent of meeting. The gatekeepers were on the four sides, east, west, north, and south. The fellow Levites in their villages had to come from time to time and share their duties for 7-day periods, but the four principal gatekeepers who were Levites were entrusted with the responsibility for the rooms and treasuries in the house of God. They would spend the night stationed around the house of God because they had to guard it, and they had charge of the key for opening it each morning. Some of them were in charge of the articles used in the temple service. They counted them when they were brought in and when they were taken out. Others were assigned to take care of the furnishings and all the other articles of the sanctuary, as well as the special flour and wine and the olive oil, incense and spices. But some of the priests took care of mixing the spices. A Levite named Mattathiah, the firstborn of Shallum, the Korahites, was entrusted with this responsibility for baking the offering bread. Some of the Kohathites, the Kohathites, their fellow Levites, were in charge of preparing for every Sabbath the bread set out on the table. Those who were musicians, heads of Levite families, stayed in the rooms of the temple and were exempt from other duties because they were responsible for the work day and night. All these were heads of Levite families, chiefs, as listed in their genealogy, and they lived in Jerusalem. Jael, the father of Gibeon, lived in Gibeon. His wife's name was Maacah, and his firstborn son Abdon, followed by Zer, Kish, Baal, Ner, Nadab, Gadol, Ahio, Zechariah, and Mikloth. Mikloth was the father of Shemeam. They too lived near their relatives in Jerusalem. Ner was the father of Kish, Kish the father of Saul, and Saul the father of Jonathan. Malchishua, Abinadab, and Ishmael, the son of Jonathan. Mirabal, who was the father of Micah, the sons of Micah, Pithon, Melik, Tariah, and Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Jada. Jada was the father of Elmeth, Asmavath, and Zimri was the father of Moza. Moza was the father of Benaiah. Rephiah was his son. Eleasai his son, and Azul his son. Azul had 6 sons, and these were their names: Azrikam, Bakuru, Ishmael, Shariah, Obadiah, and Hanan. These were the sons of Azul. Oh my goodness, we're done. That genealogy in Chronicles has to be horrifying to read out loud, and y'all just witnessed the terror that laid waste to your ears. My goodness, dude. I probably definitely butchered a lot of those names. There was some names, kind of obvious which ones I didn't butcher, like Moses, Aaron, Miriam, Abraham, Nahor, Adam, Enoch. Of course, I wouldn't have mispronounced those. Enoch. I've heard people pronounce it. My pastor pronounced Enoch's name Enoch, I think. Enoch, something like that. Anyway. Okay. Well, now before we continue, we gotta go over this now because we absolutely butchered all this. But so we see from chapter 1 to 9 is a long list of names which were compiled after the people of Judah, the southern kingdom, were taken captive to Babylon. So as the exiles looked forward to the day when they would return to their homeland, one of their biggest fears was the records of their heritage would be lost. The Jews placed great importance upon the heritage because each person wanted to be able to prove that he or she was a descendant of Abraham, the father of the Jewish people. Now, the writer of Chronicles is Ezra, which is according to Jewish tradition, which, it just seems fitting it is for Ezra, because Ezra also went back to the capital to rebuild Jerusalem and stuff, or rebuild the temple and stuff, with Nehemiah. But anyway, so only then could a person enjoy the benefits of the special blessings God had promised to Abraham and his descendants once they was able to trace back their heritage. Now, this list reconstructed the family tree for both Judah, the southern kingdom, and Israel, the northern kingdom, before their captives served as genealogical proof for those who claimed to be Abraham's descendants. And there is more to this long genealogy that meets the eye. It holds importance for us today because it supports the Old Testament promise that Jesus, the Messiah, would be a descendant of Abraham and David. This promise was placed all the way back in Genesis and 2 Samuel. We hear about Adam. We hear about him in Genesis. Most of this is just going to be talking about, we know who this guy is. We hear this record of names demonstrates that God is interested in not only nations but also in individuals. Although billions of people have lived since Adam, God knows and remembers each person's face and name. Each one of us is more than a name on a list, and we are special and significant persons whom God knows and loves. As we recognize and accept His love, we discover both our uniqueness as individuals and our solidarity with the rest of His family. And we hear about sons, the son of, but the word translated sons can also mean descendants, thus a biblical genealogy may skip several generations possibly. These lists were not meant to be exhaustive, but rather to give adequate information about the various family lines, and it does a similar thing in both Luke and Matthew. We hear about Nimrod, who was also mentioned back in Genesis. Verse 12 says, Pathusites, Chalcolite, from whom the Philistines came, and Kaphtorites. So the Philistines had been Israel's constant enemy since the days of the judges, and King David finally weakened them, and by this time they were no longer a threat. We hear about Canaan. He was the ancestor of the Canaanites who inhabited the Promised Land, also called Canaan, before the Israelites entered under Joshua's leadership. God helped the Israelites drive out the Canaanites, a wicked and idolatrous people. The land's name was then changed to Israel. The book of Joshua tells that entire story. And we hear, what verse is it, 19? We hear about a dude named Peleg, because in this time the earth was divided. The phrase "the earth was divided" refers to when the earth was divided into different language groups. At one time, everyone spoke a single language, but some people became proud of their accomplishments and gathered to build a monument to themselves, the Tower of Babel. This building project was brought to an abrupt conclusion when God caused the people to speak different languages. Without the ability to communicate with one another, the people could not be unified. God showed them that their great efforts were useless without Him. Pride in our achievements must not lead us to conclude that we no longer need God. We hear about Abraham, his story was in Genesis. Ishmael's story was in Genesis. And we hear about the sons of Isaac in verse 34, Esau and Israel. Israel obviously was another name for Jacob, given to him by God. It may mean he struggles with God, indicating the close but intense struggle between God and His people. Israel's, or Jacob's, 12 sons became the nation of Israel. The descendants of Esau his brother became the nation of Edom, a constant enemy of Israel. We hear about, in verse 36, Amalek, who was Esau's grandson, was the son of his father's concubine. He was the ancestor of the vicious tribe known as the Amalekites, the first people to attack the Israelites on their way to the Promised Land. The Israelites were winning this battle as long as Moses kept his arm raised. I'm sure we remember that. And they ultimately gained the victory. And then we hear about the rulers of Edom. So why are we given information in this genealogy about the descendants of Edom, who were Israel's enemies? Esau, ancestor of the Edomites, was Isaac's oldest son and thus a direct descendant of Abraham. As Abraham's first grandson, he deserved a place in the Jewish records. It was through Esau's marriages to pagan women, however, that the nation of Edom began, and this genealogy shows the ancestry of enemy nations. They were not a part of the direct lineage of King David, and thus of the Messiah. This listing further identifies Israel's special identity and role. And then we hear about, we start hearing about Israel's sons now, all 12 of them: Simon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Reuben, Dan, Joseph, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. I had to look down at a few of them because every now and then I have to refresh my memory about who this is. But this genealogy, we see it a lot within this genealogy. This long genealogy not only gives names but also gives us insights into the lives of some of the people listed. We hear about was here almost in like verse 3. We hear about almost as in epitaph. The genealogy states that was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Now, thousands of years later, this is all we know of the man. Each of us is forming a reputation, so developing personal qualities by which we will be remembered by. So how would God summarize your life up to now? Some defiantly claim that they know how to live, that how they live is their own business, but Scripture teaches that the way we live today will determine how we will be remembered by others and how we will be judged by God. So what we do now matters a lot. Going on now, in verse 7 of chapter 2, we hear about Achor, the son of Carmi, and he brought trouble on Israel by violating the ban on taking the votive things. So this is the same Achan who kept for himself some of the plunder following the destruction of Jericho, directly disobeying God's instructions. His greed led to the defeat of Israel at Ai and the death of Achan and his entire family. We hear about Boaz in verse 12. He was Ruth's husband and an ancestor of both David and Jesus. And Boaz's story is found in the book of Ruth. We already read that. Boaz and Ruth lived in Bethlehem, the birthplace of David, birthplace of Jesus. Well, also the birthplace of David, yeah, but I meant to say Jesus. And then we hear about David, I think, in verse 15, right? Yeah. David is one of the best well-known people of the Bible, and he was certainly not perfect, but in general, he exemplified what it means to seek God first in all areas of life. God referred to David as a man after my own heart, because David's greatest desire was to serve and worship him. We can please God in the same way by making him our first consideration in all our desires and plans. We hear about Joab. He is found throughout all kinds of throughout 2 Samuel and stuff. Abishai's throughout 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, Chronicles. We hear about this guy named Caleb in verse 18. Caleb, son of Hezron. That is not it is not the Caleb who scouted the Promised Land with Joshua. We get to that Caleb in chapter 4, though. We hear about Abigail in verse 1. We hear about Absalom in verse 2 of chapter 3. There's not much to talk about. We just talk about just naming off important characters, important people, not characters, because the Bible is not a storybook, it's a history book, and basic instructions before we do that abbreviated spells Bible, by the way. We hear about Bathsheba in the story. We hear about Solomon too, who became Israel's third king. We hear about Tamar too, David's daughter, the tragic one. Who was it? Abijah? Was it Abijah who raped her? And because Absalom got mad at one of them. No, it was Abijah. It was Adonijah, right? I got confused. Abijah's not even the son of David, I think, right? Yeah, he's not. So Adonijah was the one who raped Tamar, I believe. And then Absalom, we know Absalom, he got mad at Adonijah and had him killed, I'm pretty sure, and then he rebelled against his father David. All that stuff happened. We read about that in 2 Samuel. And many of Solomon's descendants ruled the nation of Judah. We hear in verse 10 to 14, we hear about the kings of Judah. But 10 to 16, actually, the kings of Judah. We hear about Zerubbabel, one of the later ones who, kind of ruled as a governor, basically. But we hear about Jehoshaphat, Rehoboam, Jeroboam. We hear about all this stuff, dude. Not Jeroboam. We don't hear about Jeroboam in this little area. We hear about Rehoboam there. We hear about Jehoshaphat, Azariah, Uzziah, Hezekiah, Josiah, Zedekiah, all those people. A lot, to be honest. We hear about Jehoiakim, Zedekiah. We already said that. And then we hear about Zerubbabel in verse 19 and 20, who was the leader of the first exiles to return from Babylon. And we will hear about him in Ezra there. And then verse 9 to 10 of chapter 4 introduces Jabez, who was remembered by a prayer rather than a heroic act. He was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother named him Jabez, saying, I gave birth to him in pain. He's remembered by a prayer. He asked God to bless him. He helped him in his work by expanding his territory, be with him in all he did, and keep him from harm and pain. Jabez acknowledged God as the true center of life, and when we pray for God's blessing, we should also pray that he will take his rightful position as Lord over our work, our family tree, and our recreation. Obeying him in daily responsibilities is heroic living. Jabez prays specifically to be protected from harm and pain. We live in a fallen world filled with sin, and it is important to ask God to keep us from the unavoidable evil that comes our way. But we must also avoid evil motives, desires, and actions that begin with us. Therefore, we must not only seek God's protection from evil, but also ask God to guard our thoughts and actions. As God does his work in us, we do our part by purposefully working to fill our minds with positive thoughts and attitudes. We also can seek encouraging relationships with others who follow God. We hear about Othniel in verse 13. He was Israel's first judge. We hear about Caleb then in verse 15, and he was one of the 12 scouts sent into the promised land by Moses. He and Joshua were the only two among the scouts to return with a positive report, believing in God's promise to help the Israelites conquer the land. That's all the way back in Numbers. And then we hear about Reuben in verse 1 of chapter 5, how he was the firstborn of Israel, but then he defiled his father's marriage bed, and his rights were given to the sons of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim. So, yeah, Reuben's sin of incest was recorded for all future generations to read. Not really something you want to be remembered by. The purpose of this epitaph was not to smear Reuben's name, but to show that painful memories aren't the only results of sin. The consequences of sin produce great shame, and in the case of Reuben, loss of status and privilege. As the oldest son, Reuben was the rightful heir to both a double portion of his father's estate and the leadership of Abraham's descendants, who had grown into a large tribe, but his sin stripped away his rights and privileges and brought shame to his family. So before you give into temptation, consider the harmful and painful consequences sin may produce in your life and the lives of others. Verse 2 of chapter 5, we're going to actually read it. It says, And though Judah was the strongest of his brothers, and a ruler came from him, the rights of the firstborn belonged to Joseph. The mention of a ruler from the tribe of Judah here is a reference to David and his royal line. Ultimately, David's royal line led to Jesus, the Messiah, David's greatest descendant and the true ruler of all. We hear about the armies of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh succeeded in battle because they trusted God. We hear about that from verse 18 to 22. So although they had instinct and skill as soldiers, they prayed and sought God's direction. The natural and developed abilities God gives us are meant to be used for Him, but they should never replace our dependence on Him. So when we trust in our own cleverness, skill, and strength rather than in God, we open the door for pride. When facing difficult situations, seek God's purpose and ask for His guidance and strength. Psalm 20 verse 7 says, Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. And then we hear about the exile in verse 22. It says, and many others fell slain because the battle was God's, and they occupied the land until the exile. The exile mentioned here was the exile of the 10 northern tribes, the northern kingdom of Israel, to Assyria in 722 BC, the one that Isaiah was living, like the one that Isaiah mostly prophesied about. So yeah, these tribes never returned to their homeland, and we can the whole thing was talked about in 2 Kings. Half tribe of Manasseh, we hear about these warriors who would and leaders who had established excellent reputations for the great skills and leadership qualities. Although these tribes had leaders with great reputations, they all still failed in the most important quality: faithfulness to God. If you try to measure up to society's standard for fame and success, or let yourself be distracted by idolatry, you may neglect your true purpose to please and obey God. In the end, God alone examines our hearts and determines our final standing. So your present reputation with God needs to be pretty good. And here we hear about Levi in chapter 6. Chapter 6 is about Levi. The tribe of Levi was set apart to serve God in the tabernacle and later in the temple. Aaron, a descendant of Levi, became Israel's first high priest. God required all future priests to be descendants of Aaron. The rest of the Levites assisted the priests in the various tabernacle or temple duties, and they also assisted the people by teaching them God's law and encouraging them to obey it. Hopefully obey it. Unless you were the son of Eli. If you were the two sons of Eli, you failed horribly, if you know what I'm talking about. Two sons of Eli, they lost the Ark of the Covenant to the Philistines. They defiled themselves too, a lot. Crazy. We see in verse 3, children of Amram, Aaron, Moses, and Miriam, the sons of Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, major roles who played major roles in the, what? I worded that incorrectly, greatly incorrectly. The people listed that we just talked about, they played major roles in the drama of the Exodus from Egypt. Aaron's story is found in the book of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Moses was one of the greatest prophets and leaders in Israel's history. His story is found in the books of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. The story of Miriam, the sister of Moses and Aaron, is found in Exodus, Numbers, and Abihu were killed. Nadab and Abihu were killed for disobeying God. Eleazar became Israel's high priest after Aaron, and Ithamar played an important role in organizing the worship services of the tabernacle. In reading verse 28, it says, the son of Samuel, Joel the firstborn, and Abijah the second son. First of all, before I go on, I scroll on TikTok every now and then, just, when I'm bored, probably, when I've, not much to do. And, I see, how people, post Bible verses? I don't get this. I get posting Bible verses, that's one thing. But these people are posting Bible verses of just names. For example, there's Descent from Merari. It's just names, it's not really... I'm not judging, I'm just saying it's, a little goofy, posting Bible verses. Just posting names now. Not really much of encouragement. Maybe the Jewish people, they like the heritage, but I don't get the meaning behind the verse. Just a bunch of names. You know what I mean? Anyway, when Samuel became God's leader and spokesman, Israel was on the brink of collapse. The last few chapters of the book of Judges give a solid picture, vivid picture of the moral decay and the resulting decline of the nation, but with God's help, Samuel almost single-handedly brought the nation back from ruin to revival. He unified the people by showing them that God was their common leader and that any nation that focused on him would find and fulfill its true purpose. Samuel, we hear about his story and how he set up rules for governing a nation based on spiritual principles in the book of 1 Samuel. And then we hear about the builders and craftsmen, the temple musicians, pretty much from verse 31 to 48. The builders and craftsmen had completed the temple, and the priests and Levites had been given their responsibilities for taking care of it. Then it was time for another group of people, the musicians, to to exercise their talents for God. The names of some of the leading musicians are recorded here. You don't have to be an ordained minister to have an important place in the body of believers. Builder, artists, choir members, worship leaders, and others who serve in the church all have significant contributions to make. God has given you a unique combination of talents, so use them to serve Him and honor Him. Verse 31 says, these are the men David put in charge of the music in the house of the Lord after the ark came to rest there. David did much to bring music into worship. He established song leaders and choirs to perform regularly at the temple. The temple. As a young man, David had been hired to play the harp for King Saul. He also wrote many of the songs found in the book of Psalms. Aaron and his descendants strictly followed the details of worship commanded by God through Moses. They did not choose only those commands they wanted to obey. Note what happened to Uzzah when important details in handling the Ark of the Covenant were neglected. You remember Uzzah was carrying the Ark of the Covenant after, David was bringing it to, I forgot what town it was. I can't remember. And he kind of started falling off, and Uzzah tried to touch it and stuff, and God struck him down instantly, and David was a little upset. So we should not try to obey God selectively. Choosing those commands we will obey, and those we will ignore. God's word has authority. I phrased that incorrectly, right? So choosing the commands we will obey, and those we will ignore. Okay, I phrased that so horribly. Hold on. When we should not try to obey God selectively. Choosing those commands we will obey, and those we will ignore. We should always obey God's commands, all of them. We shouldn't be selectively with it. So God's word has authority over every aspect of our lives, not just select areas. So the tribe of Levi obviously was not given a specific area of land as the other tribes were. Instead, the Levites were to live throughout the land in order to aid the people of every tribe in their worship of God. Thus, the Levites were given towns, and pasture lands would be allotted areas of the other tribes, and it says in Scripture that their inheritance was the Lord. And then God had told the tribes to designate specific cities to be cities of refuge for the Levites. Or not for the Levites, oh my goodness. Just cities of refuge. These cities were to provide refuge for those who had accidentally killed people. This instruction may have seemed unimportant when it was given. The Israelites hadn't even entered the promised land, but sometimes God gives us instructions that do not seem relevant to us at the moment, but are later proven to be very valuable. So don't discard the lessons of the Bible because certain details seem irrelevant. Obey God now. In the future, you will have a clearer understanding of the reasons of His instructions. And so the Israelites cast lots in order to take the decision-making process out of human hands and put it into God's hands. Casting lots was like drawing straws or throwing dice. Lots were cast only after seeking God's guidance and prayer. For more information on casting lots, we see a lot of it on Joshua. We see a lot of it in Leviticus. We see a lot of it. We hear about some of it in Samuel and Chronicles, dude. We hear about a lot. And even in Luke, we hear about casting lots, too. I can't remember if we directly read it, but I know I talked about casting lots, how the priest would do it. And Zechariah had to go up to the temple, and Gabriel saw him. So we hear about Kohath, Gershon, and Merari. These were the three sons born to Levi, who was the third son born to Jacob and Leah, and their families formed the tribe of Levi. The Levites did not receive an allotment of land of their own, but instead were given cities throughout the promised land. God provided for the Levites through the gifts and offerings that people from the other tribes brought to the tabernacle, and was a descendant of Kohath. And in the New Testament, Zechariah and Elizabeth, John the Baptist's parents, were descendants of Aaron. Issachar, we hear about him in verse 1 of chapter 7, was the fifth son born to Jacob and Leah. The descendants of Issachar received special recognition when they served as warriors for David, and they were known for having great wisdom and understanding. We hear about Bilhah in verse 13. She was the mother of two tribes of Israel, Dan and Naphtali. She had been a servant of Laban. We remember Laban in Genesis. And he gave her to Rachel. to be her maid when Rachel married Jacob. Rachel was so desperate to have children that she told Jacob to sleep with Bilhah in order to provide children for Rachel. And the sons of Joseph were Ephraim and Manasseh, born to him and his wife Asenath, the daughter of an Egyptian priest. Jacob, Joseph's father, accepted them as his own sons, and Joseph was given the double portion allotted to the eldest son by birthright through his two sons. Manasseh was older, but Ephraim received a blessing from Jacob, signifying that he would become the greater tribe. We hear about Joshua in verse 27. He was one of Israel's greatest leaders, leading the people into the promised land. We hear all about him in the book of Joshua. If you want to hear about Joshua, go read the book of Joshua. We hear about him also in the Torah, a bit of it actually. We hear about Shaharaim. These verses list Shaharaim's children by Hodesh after he had divorced his two wives. Kind of random, to be honest, but Husham and Bara, divorce and polygamy, are sometimes recorded in the Old Testament without critical comments. That does not mean that God takes divorce lightly. Malachi says, be on your guard, specifically chapter 2, verse 15 to 16, says, be on your guard, and do not be unfaithful to the wife of your youth. The man who hates and divorces his wife says, the Lord, the God of Israel, does violence to the one he should protect. Jesus explained that although divorce was allowed, it was not God's will. Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but it was not this way from the beginning. We shouldn't assume that God approves of an act because it isn't condemned in every related biblical reference. We hear about Saul in verse 33. He was Israel's first king. I'm sure a lot of us know. Oh my goodness. Don't stop that, dude. Yeah, Saul, he was Israel's first king, obviously. And he was very inconsistent, and his faith was half-hearted. We hear about him all throughout 1 Samuel, and Saul's son, Jonathan, was the opposite. Although Jonathan was the rightful heir to the throne, he realized that David was God's choice to be Israel's next king. Instead of being jealous, Jonathan was David's friend and even helped him escape from Saul's attempts to murder him. Finally, chapter 9, chronologically, this chapter could be placed at the end of 2 Chronicles because it records the names of the exiles who returned from the Babylonian captivity. The writer, Ezra, probably included it here to show his concern for their need as a nation to return to what he had made great in the first place, obedience to God. So although not every person in Judah was unfaithful, the entire nation was carried away into captivity, and everyone was affected by the sin of some. Even if we don't participate in certain widespread wrongdoing, we will still be afflicted by those who do it. It is not enough to say, I didn't do it. We must speak out against the sins of our society. So when we think of doing God's work, usually preaching, teaching, singing, and other kinds of upfront leadership come to mind. We hear about this dude Azariah in verse 10 to 11. He was a chief officer in charge of the house of God, and he was singled out for special mention. Whatever role you have in church, it is important to God. He appreciates your service and the attitude you have as you do it. We hear from verse 17 to 18 about gatekeepers. Gatekeepers guarded the four main entrances to the temple and opened the gates each morning for those who wanted to worship. In addition, they did other day-to-day chores to keep the temple running smoothly, cleaning, preparing the offerings for sacrifice, and accounting for the gifts designated to the temple. Gatekeepers had to be reliable, honest, and trustworthy, and the people in a church who handled the offerings and care for the materials and functions of the building follow in a great tradition, and we should honor them for their reliability and service. Gatekeepers. So then we hear about the priests and the Levites. They put a great deal of time and care into worship. Not only did they perform rather complicated tasks, but they also took care of many pieces of equipment. Everything relating to worship was carefully prepared and maintained, so they and all the people could enter worship with their minds and hearts focused on God. In this busy world, we can easily rush into weekly worship services without preparing ourselves. We reflect and worry about the week's problems. We pray about whatever comes into our minds, and we leave without really meditating on the words we hear and sing. But God wants our worship to be conducted in a fitting and orderly way. Just as we prepare to meet a business associate or an invited guest, we should carefully prepare to meet our King in worship. Then our hearts and minds will be ready to receive and apply what God wants us to hear. The gatekeepers were chosen on the basis of the genealogies. To be eligible to work in the temple, a person had to prove he was descended from Abraham. If his family was listed in the genealogical records, he was then chosen only if he was also reliable and trustworthy, obviously. So we need to follow the principle of choosing church leaders who are reliable and exhibit deep faith and commitment to God. So worship was the primary focus of the Levites, whose vocation centered on the house of the Lord. Worshipping, honoring God for his nature and worth, and submitting oneself wholly to his will should occupy the core of our lives and not just a few minutes once a week. We too can worship at all hours if we focus on God's presence and guidance in all situations, and if we maintain an attitude of serving him. So build your life around the worship of God. Don't make worship just another activity in your busy schedule. And that's it for First Chronicles chapter 1 to 9. And it's a lot. Most of what we did was reading genealogy. And I told y'all beforehand, I told you in the previous Isaiah video, I think, that once we get to First Chronicles, the first video is not going to be. It's going to be less than. It's going to be more than half of it was going to be just reading, because of how large this genealogy is and how many people we won't be talking about, but very few people we do talk about who are important will have a lot to say about them, like Nimrod. We didn't really say much about Nimrod, though. We mentioned him though. Random people like that, there's hold important moments and have uniqueness within that genealogy. I thought to say chronologically or whatever. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know what I was saying now. Anyway, yeah, his little Jesus, talking at the end of every video. I didn't do that last video, though, sadly. But now, yeah. So next we'll be talking about David's royal. We start next video. Goodness, next video we'll be talking about David taking the throne and stuff, Saul's suicides and all that. We know about that. We already read that in First Samuel and stuff. But it's just a little history. And then we'll go through it. That's First Chronicles for you, and then Second Chronicles, and then Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Song of Solomon, Proverbs, Job, and Psalms, and we are out of the Old Testament for a good bit. There will be only 4 books left, and that's Ezekiel, Daniel, Zechariah, and Joel. We'll get those done after we finish the New Testament, after we do First Thessalonians and Second Thessalonians, obviously. I have the list of books I'm reading in, like, what order I'm reading them. I just state them sometimes randomly, so you might not know what order I'm doing, but I will post the order of books I have left, just so y'all can know. I'm just wiping stuff off my desk. There's not really that much stuff, but there's a little bit on it. Anyway, let's pray. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lord, I thank you for today. I thank you for the people who watch this. I thank you for the people who aren't watching this, Lord. I ask that if anyone doesn't have you, they will find you. If they already do have you, Lord, they will continue to pursue you and pursue others in your name. Lord, if they are suffering, I ask that they will suffer no more. But if they continue to suffer, I pray that they will suffer joyfully, knowing that you will raise them up with your righteous right hand, Lord. Lord, if there's anyone afflicted with pain and burdens, Lord, I ask that you will release them from that affliction, Lord. I ask that you release us all from affliction, Lord. I thank you for your sacrifice. I praise you for your sacrifice, Lord. I praise you for your great blessings. I praise you for everything you've done, Lord, for creating, Lord, for saying that let there be light in the beginning, Lord. I praise you because you're the Alpha and the Omega, Lord. Your sovereignty is more sovereign than any ruler on this earth, Lord. All rulers on earth can't even account to what you've done, Lord. So I praise you for everything. In your name I pray. Amen. Good morning, because it's 6 a.m. It's about to be 7 in 20 minutes, so good morning. God bless. I love you all. I got to take a shower so I can go to Sunday church.